Hello, we are back with Chapter 7, Collecting, Displaying, and Analyzing Data, and we're examining Lesson 2, Box and Whisker Plots. A box and whisker plot separates a data set into 4 equal parts. So look, this is a representation of a box and whisker plot. You have some different things. You have, number one, you have a median, okay, and we talked about that. That is the midpoint of all of the list of data is the median. You also have some other things that we discussed before, which are the least value and the greatest value. And then we have 2 terms that are new. That would be the lower quartile. And one way I can describe the lower quartile is kind of if you take the least value and you take the median, it's kind of like the median between the least value and the median. So it's the median of these values. And the upper quartile, right here, this is the upper quartile, that is really the median between the median and the greatest value, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and look at some problems and see how this works. So this is the attendance at the PTA meetings. That means the median amount of people that showed up were 12. The lower quartile and the upper quartile, that is kind of like, if the median is halfway, I'm going to say that that is like 50% of the data spot. That's the middle part, right? The lower quartile is like 25% of the data. This is a marker for the 25% of the data. And then the upper quartile is the marker for the 75% of the data. So if you take the difference between 25 and 75, you get 50. So this right here is the middle 50% of the data. So that says the middle 50% of the data was actually spread out between 9 and 16. 50% of the data values were within this range. And then the lower quartile, between the least and the lower quartile, this is the bottom 25% of the data were here. And then the upper quartile, this was the upper 25% of the data was between this upper quartile and the greatest value. So you can kind of, from a box and whisker plot, you can tell how spread out the data is. So we're going to use the data right here to create our own box and whisker plot. Okay, down here. So the first step with this data set is to order the data from least to greatest. So that's what we're going to do. So if we order the data from least to greatest, the smallest number here would be 20, followed by 24, and then 25, and then 27. And then I would say it would be 31, and then 31, and then 35, and then 38. Okay, I'm going to count up the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, perfect. So we are going to, that was the first thing, order the numbers from least to greatest. The second thing we need to do is find the least value and the greatest value and the median, okay? So let's go ahead and find the least value. The least value, when we order them from smallest to greatest, the least value equals 20. The greatest value equals 38, And then the median, okay, so the median, we have to take one from this side, 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 and this is the median right here. So that means that the median is equal to 27. Okay. The lower quartile, hit green for that. The lower quartile is the median of the lower half of the data. Okay? So if you look here, the lower half of the data would be right here. This is the lower half of the data. So we're going to, it does not include the median, okay? So the lower half of the data, and then we're just going to find the median of this. So we take one from this side, one from this side. So this is the lower quartile. So the lower quartile equals 24. And then the upper quartile is the median of the upper half of the data. So the upper half of the data is right here. So we're going to find the median of this data, which would be here. We take one from this side, take one from this side. So that means the upper quartile would be 35. Upper quartile equals 35. Okay, so find the lower quartile and the upper quartile. We did. Okay, so now we have our number line, and we need to plot the points for the least value, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the greatest value. You draw a box around the quartiles and the median, and you draw a whisker from the least value to the lower quartile, and draw a whisker from the upper quartile to the greatest value. So let's go ahead and create our box and whisker plot now. So what I like to do is our least value is 20, so I'm just going to make a little whisker there. Our greatest value is 38. Make a little whisker there. Our median is 27, so that would be right here, would be 27. So I'm going to draw a bigger line because our median is the middle part of our box. Our lower quartile would be 24, and I'm going to draw a big line down because that's going to be a part of our box as well. As the upper quartile is 35, which would be right here, 35, and I'm going to draw an upper line, a big line here. Now I create a box around the lower quartile, the median, and the upper quartile there. And this box shows the middle 50% of the data. And then I just make the whiskers. So the whiskers go from right here, the lowest value, the least value, to the lower quartile, and then from the greatest value to the upper quartile. And there you have it. There is our box and whisker plot. Okay, let's go ahead and try this again on the next problem here. So we're going to use the data to create a box and whisker plot. Okay, so the first step with all these data values is to order the data from smallest to largest. So we can do that. The smallest value here is 61, and then 63, and then 65, and then what would the next one be? I can actually mark these off. 61, 63, 65. So 68 would be the next, followed by 69. And then we would have 70, and then 72, 74, and 78. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 values, and here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 values. Okay, perfect. Now we just need to find the least and the greatest values. So the least value is equal to 61. The greatest value is equal to 78. Okay. Now we need to find the median, the quartile, and the upper quartile. So for the median, I'm going to go here. I'm going to take one from this side, one from this side, one from this side, one from this side, one for this side, one from this side, one from this side, one from this side, and this would be our median right here. Okay? So the median equals 69. Now I have to find the lower quartile. The lower quartile is the median of these numbers right here. Okay? So I'm going to take one from this side, one from this side. I have these two in the middle, which means I need to find the average of those two. So for the lower quartile, I need to find the average of 63 plus 65 and then divide it by 2. Okay, 63 plus 65, I'm going to go over here on the side. 63 plus 65, 3 plus 5 is 8, 6 plus 6 is 12. That equals 128 divided by 2. And then I just need to take 128 and divide it by 2. 2 goes into, doesn't go into 1, goes into 12 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. 0, drop down the 8. 2 goes into 8 4 times, so that ends up being 64. So that means our lower quartile equals 64. Okay, and our median is 69. The last thing we need to figure out is our upper quartile, which would be here. It's the median of these numbers. So to find our upper quartile, we're going to take one from this side, one from this side. We have 2 in the middle, so upper quartile. We need to go ahead and find the average of those, so 72 plus 74, and then divide that by 2. I'm going to do that right here. 72 plus 74. 2 plus 4 is 6. 7 plus 7 is 14. And so that equals 146 divided by 2. Okay, so 146 divided by 2. 2 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 14 7 times. 7 times 2 is 14. Difference of 0. Drop down the 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. No remainder. So that equals 73. So our upper quartile equals 73. So now we have all 5 of our values: the least value, the greatest value, the median, the quartile, and the upper quartile. Okay, so we need to plot the points and then draw the box and add the whiskers. So I think I'm going to do the box part first. Okay, so I'm going to do the median is at 69, so that would be right here. I'm going to draw a big line down. The lower quartile is at 64, another big line down here. And the upper quartile is at 73, which would be right there, another big line. Okay, and then I'm just going to create my box. Now this box shows the middle 50% of the data set. Okay, now I'm going to put my least value, which is 61. And I just do a little whisker and then connect it there to the lower quartile. And then the greatest value is 78, so I have a little whisker here, and I connect that to the upper quartile. And then boom, there we have it, a box and whisker plot. All right, we will see you next time. Goodbye.